Welcome to episode number 7 of a 78 video series on the cards of the tarot. If you've been here before and want to skip the intro, as usual, I will place the timestamp down in the description box below. Using these 14 decks, we will go through each card, looking at the difference between decks and talking about how both artist rendition and reader interpretation can alter the meaning of the card. And if you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, didn't she say she only had 12 decks in the last video? As a matter of fact, yes I did, but I have grown-up money, poor impulse control. I was in a bookstore with a bar in it. Draw your own conclusions. Coincidentally, keep an eye out for 2 new deck flip-throughs on my channel. See you there. More information on the decks used will also be listed down below in the description box, along with any links if they were purchased from Etsy or Kickstarter. Like in previous videos, I've thrown a bonus card from the Spirit Halloween Store novelty deck because I feel that novelty decks can have value in a reading. And if you haven't already done so, check out my card flip through of the Arcane Bullshit Tarot deck. Consider this your warning for sexually explicit material and the occasional foul or coarse language. I currently use 2 not safe for work decks. They are Deck 1, the Tarot of Sexual Magic, which I consider softcore, meaning lingerie and romanticized pictures of lovemaking. Eros Tarot, Deck 2, I consider hardcore. Just take my word for it. While this series is intended as a basic overview of tarot, which in and of itself is not sexual in nature, these 2 decks very much are. If you are uncomfortable with sexually explicit nudity and graphic images of sexual acts, then perhaps this series is not for you. This series is also not geared nor meant for those under 18. I will not be talking about the meanings for reversals, i.e. meaning the card jumps out or is pulled out upside down during your reading. However, I have provided in the description a link to biddytarot.com, which offers an excellent breakdown of why you should and shouldn't read reversals. You don't need to memorize the meaning of every card for every deck you own. Just know that the more you use your cards, the more fluid in their language you will become. Today's card is The Lovers. This is one of my favorite cards because I am, at heart, a romantic. I also like how it mirrors the Devil card, as we will see later on in other card interpretation readings. Starting out right away, we have the Radiant White Tarot, flanked by the Black and Gold and Black Tarot decks. These cards are essentially the same card, meaning they are based off traditional Rider-Waite imagery, which in previous videos I've stated is like the go-to artistic blueprint for tarot imagery. The Archangel Raphael is looking over them, and as I am not up to date on my angelography, I guess, I had to Google to find out that he is apparently the god of healing. The overall meaning of this card, per the book, is overcoming obstacles or trials. It is also about beauty and attraction. The lovers in this depiction have made it through a rough time, and I'm pretty sure it's meant to be Adam and Eve, and due to the snake and the apple tree and the burning bush, and yes, there will be healing needed after major relationship shifts. When looking at this card, I get that the ordeal is well behind them. The burning bush also jumps out at me more as well, and I see passion when I look at it. Passion to succeed as well as passion in a relationship. Compared to the Golden Art Nouveau card, however, I feel that whatever preceded their relationship is still fresh in their lives. The booklet for the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot basically says that choosing knowledge opens a whole new world to them, and that this is the choice that marks the difference between infatuation and true love. These 2 people choose to know one another, not just in the biblical sense, and in turn, they learn and know themselves. They are healing from their past trauma and have grown up. They consciously choose one another. The romantic in me sees this card, and I immediately think of the song lyric by Bastille, "When I watch the world burn, all I think about is you." One of the newest additions to my collection is the Modern Witch Tarot. If I've done this right, you should see a link to the deck flip-through that I added to my channel. If you don't, then it's there under the playlist Deck Flip-Throughs. In this card, no one is looking at each other. Not the Archangel Raphael and not the lovers. I feel as if we are looking at them from inside the gates, though. They have chosen to eat the fruit of knowledge and leave, and are in the process of doing so. The Archangel in this depiction also gives me this hurts my heart vibes. It's like she feels their pain and is working to transmute or heal that and them. This couple has chosen to do this together, and I love how they are standing closer and reaching out to one another as they leave the only place they've known. Ultimately, this card is about choice and choosing to love and choosing each other no matter what temptation or obstacles are set in your path. The Gilded Tarot gives us our first non-Rider-Waite-Smith depiction. These lovers have left their past behind them and are fully engaged in the moment. They are hip deep in water, which can be a symbol of subconsciousness and intuition, and also the emotional state. And like fire, water can also cleanse and heal. Their decision to choose to be together was made previously, and it looks like it has turned out very well for them. And if we look at the Radiant White Tarot, there is a very sanitized feeling about this love compared to the Gilded Tarot's lover. It's almost very chaste and innocent compared to the raw passion and emotion that's being expressed. The Everyday Witch Tarot takes us back to the feeling like we're standing behind them, but we almost feel closer, if that makes sense. They are joined together by the hands in front of a fire, with the smoke alluding to a winged figure above them. This card is not so focused on the romantic aspect, but the overall loving aspect. They are facing things together and are sharing in the moment. As a practicing witch, I also hear the phrase, I cast the circle hand to hand, especially when I look at this card out of the context of a reading. They are sharing and combining their energy to accomplish a goal, whatever that goal may be. I don't necessarily see a romantic connection, but that could change when doing an actual reading. To me, this is about consciously choosing to connect with someone. There is comfort there, there is solidarity there, and they are in this together. In a complete 180, the Tarot of Sexual Magic, we have this throuple with Cupid aiming his bow behind them. The description for this card starts out with seduction. They are surrounded by plants, some with flowers in full bloom. Everything is lush and thriving. Then it talks about magic, perfume, seducing, and sustaining us, and then I threw the booklet down. To me, this card falls more heavily to the temptation side of things. And we have to ask ourselves, who exactly is being seduced in this trio? I remember in one reading I gave a person, she popped up as both female depictions, and I felt as both represented her. Her feeling was that she had to choose one aspect of herself over the other in order to get or retain a boyfriend. In another reading for a completely different person, this card was more about third-party energy and indecision and the inability to make a choice. Eros Tarot gives us two skulls touching tongues. And on a personal note, for some reason, this card squicks me out. Yes, as someone who is a fan of kissing and would like to enjoy that pastime again someday, the thought of touching someone's tongue tip with my own makes me go a little bit. Now, the pamphlet provided says that this card is about equal balance of power, mutual respect, and aligned agreements. I also see the word skull fucking in my mind when I look at this card as well, because deep down I am 12 and a pervert. But the imagery of this card, while very well drawn, is so sparse that I would definitely rely on the traditional meaning of the card during a reading. This couple has made a choice, and it's till death do they part. But it was a good choice, as they appear happy even in death doing their gross tongue tip touching. Before we get to the next card, I have prepared some words about the Jane Austen Tarot, not to be confused with the Tarot of Jane Austen, which is out of print. In my last video about the Hierophant, I ended my description of this card with a rant about how they didn't even try to put the major arcana with an appropriate card. After much reflection, a nap, a snack, 2 Midol with a glass of water, and a healing pad, I realized that this card was chosen to represent the traditional Hierophant card appropriately, because the 5 of Diamonds is the Roman numeral associated with the Hierophant, and diamonds are traditionally associated with marriage and engagements in the form of a diamond ring. And it did fit in with the theme that we were discussing. So in short, my bad. While I do have issues with this particular deck, it is perhaps not the deck's fault, but my own for not taking the time to practice as I should with it. Now this card, however, I vibe so hard with this card. Put that on a t-shirt with a tarot card on it. I'll fucking buy it. I am at one with this card. Yes! Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy are the lovers. I didn't even have to consult the book to know this. Now, imagine my surprise when I did consult the book and saw that it was Jane and Mr. Bingley. Okay. Like, their separation was because Darcy was a dick and Bingley had no spine. At least that's how I read the phrase, Jane Bennet and Mr. Bingley truly love each other, unaffected by pride nor prejudice. Whatever. When I was a young child of 24 in the early 2000s, I discovered the 1996 version of Pride and Prejudice starring Colin Firth. And then I proceeded to make that movie my entire personality until I discovered some years later Benedict Cumberbatch. They are the lovers who went through hell and high water together and chose to be together. They faced the fire and flame of their families and said, screw you, I love her and we're getting married, so stick that in your pipe and smoke it. And he's stuck up and prideful to you, but I get him though. And I will cut you if you say another bad thing about him in my presence, and you totally know she would. Well, I am told that Jane and Milquetoast Mr. Bingley are the lovers here. To quote a t-shirt I saw once in Hot Topic, I reject your reality and substitute my own. The Lover's Path Tarot gives us Isis and Osiris on the love card. Again, they like to remix it. They're not like other girls. We just expect it at this point. The three words used to describe this card are harmony, passion, and sensuality. And this card gives me soft, comforting vibes. But there's a passion underneath it. The phrase, love that transforms the world around you as well as yourself, stood out to me. This particular card just whispers intimacy. There's a peace here. It's a nice card. It's a lovely feeling. It's a beautiful story. And it matches the meaning of the card 100% appropriately. Again, this is about intimacy and peace and comfort and partnerships, and it's a lovely card. Okay, so yes, I got a couple new tarot decks the other day, and I think I have linked the video up in the right-hand corner for you, but if not, it is there again under deck flip through playlist thingies. Anyway, this is the O'Brien's Animal Tarot, and I am in love with it. This card, the Lovers, is represented by leafy sea dragons. And they're also referred to as seahorses in the book as well. The words used to describe this card are unity, duality, relationships. So I get the word partnership again. The book also says that this could be a sign of complete and utter security in a relationship. The whole description is beautiful. And have I mentioned how in love with this deck I am? Some species of seahorses mate for life, which is a lovely thought. But remember, this card is also about choices, and what works for one person won't work for every person. The book says that the easiest answer won't always be the best solution. And if we think back to the Jane Austen Lovers card, the easiest answer was that Darcy do as Aunt Catherine wished and marry his sickly cousin, which is gross in many ways, but he didn't. And Lizzie didn't accept Mr. Collins's offer of marriage because it would have been the easiest way to save herself and her family from destitution. And doing so, both obtained wealth and happiness and true love. To me, these leafy sea dragons are committed into going with the flow together. Come what may, they are all in. And this also speaks to me of a non-traditional union. You don't expect to see leafy sea dragons. In fact, in my flip through, I called them seahorses because I'm a fucking dork. But just because it's non-traditional does not mean it is any less committed. The Crow Tarot takes us back into more familiar territory. We are back in front of two trees with the snake in the center, although there are no apples and no fire. The sun and the moon are here as well, and they kind of remind me of the towers we saw in the High Priestess that were said to have stood in front of Solomon's temple. Those two towers represented light and dark there as well, which is what these, the sun and the moon, represent in this card. The snake kind of throws me off a little bit though. If we keep to the religious themes in the previous decks, the snake represents temptation. And while it was present in other cards, obviously it wasn't front and center like this one is. Also, the Devil card, as I mentioned in the beginning, is very similar to the Lover's card with minor differences. And typically the snake represents the devil or Satan. So to see him in the place of the archangel, it throws me off. In the distance, we see two crows flying together, and without looking at the book just yet, I feel that these are the same two crows in the foreground. This card, to me, feels as if this crow couple is currently going through a major relationship shift. In the back, the crows flying look as if they are going in different directions, and there is a sadness to me here. But looking at the book, it tells us this card is about karmic passion and soul relationships that span lifetimes. The crows drink from the same heart, and it binds them together as they are partaking of the same life force into their bodies. The decisions they make in this lifetime will continue to affect them in other lifetimes as they keep reuniting. To quote the book, "The Lovers brings the message that some benefits and consequences will eventually reveal themselves for better or worse." And if we think about it and about karmic relationships, there is a reason why we repeat some situations or relationships over and over again. And that usually has to do with the lesson we need to learn. And I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer, but as someone who has been mushroom stamped by a karmic lesson right on the fucking forehead, let me tell you kids, that lesson sticks. But it took me a while to understand it. And it took me even more time to be thankful for it. But that's love. It's wonderful and messy and giddy and heavy and emotionally draining and emotionally fulfilling all at once. Our last card, the Urban Tarot, and I love this card. And what makes this card super cool is that the artist says that this is a picture of his wedding day. How great is that? To me, this card is about unity, from the couple getting married to the entwined candles forming one flame. This is such a beautiful feeling with this card. This is the lovers distilled down to its very essence from everything we learned so far. Partnership, choices made, etc. I mean, what more could I say? And I don't think I could have ended this video on a more perfect depiction. On that note, I leave you as always with these 3 questions. 1, what was your favorite depiction of the lovers? 2, what was your interpretation of the Spirit Halloween deck lovers, aka the succubus? And 3, how does it compare to his counterparts? Let me know in the comments what you think, and as always, thanks again for stopping by. I'll see you next time.